Each one of us is a human. We are like all people in some ways. We all want respect and love. But culturally, our programming, how we show respect, is different. In one culture, we may look each other in the eye to show respect. In another culture, that may show disrespect. And we tend to speak louder when we don't speak the same language. So if I'm not, if I'm looking harder at you and showing more and more disrespect, right? So what does it mean? And should we even consider learning about each other from a cultural perspective? I say we should learn about who we are culturally, right? That's what we do in cross-cultural training. We learn about our own cultural programming. Because culture, using the iceberg model, from our values that we're not even aware of, we're judging what we can see, right? And we're being judged by somebody with very different programming by what they're seeing, right? So what is underneath there? I think it's important that we consider that in our community. So we are a community. We have a lot of different ways that we're communicating. We've got these mirror neurons where your brain is registering what I'm doing as if it's doing it. We love to watch our sports, right? Our brain and our mirror neurons make it seem like we're almost playing that sport. And they discovered this because they forgot to unplug a monkey. They were looking at this monkey's brain patterns, and one of the people in the laboratory licked an ice cream cone, and the monkey's brain, the blip, right? The part of the brain that would have licked the ice cream cone lit up. That was our first mistake in discovering mirror neurons. We've got them. We're actually all Wi-Fis. We are communicating all to other people, right? About what's happening inside, and it's impacting us. So again, the self-regulation, how are you finding your own baseline so that you're not influenced all the time? And the other thing that's very positive about this is that by cultivating this peace, by cultivating this emotional and self-regulation in ourselves, we can impact others. With our heart, with the HeartMath, heart coherence, they did an experiment with 4 people at a table where one person knew how to regulate their heart, which is simple. You bring your mind to your heart center and you take 6 breaths in and out as if you're breathing from this point on your heart. And within 6 breaths, your systems will all regulate and become cohesive and coherent. One person that knew about that sat at a table with 4, and within 15 minutes, they were able to get everybody's heart in this coherence, positive state. So how we are is impacting each other, right? And trust, if somebody does an act that's trusting of you, you will release oxytocin that will make it likely that within the next 2 minutes, you are going to turn and do a trusting act to another person. When we have an experience of being trusted, we have an oxytocin release, and it lasts for about 2 minutes. So when we're at the store, standing in line, trust, kindness, all of these things can have ripple effects. So even if we just do that here, we could do a little experiment. We might be able to help everybody become more regulated. Have you heard about the meditation of the monks in some cities, cities that had some high crime statistics, and they put a group of meditators in the middle of these cities, and the crime was lowered, and they replicated that in I think 23 other cities and got the same outcomes. So it's pretty interesting how much we are impacting each other and how much we can impact one another. When people believe they matter and belong, cooperation is strong. This is not me, this is Janine, I think Janine Driver. She has a couple of TED Talks. Listen to these TED Talks, it's fascinating. She is a body language expert, and her mentor was one of the gentlemen that spoke to David. Remember the Waco, Texas event that happened in our country? One of the hostage negotiators. So they have a lot of information and experience about our experience, how we can influence each other. When we feel like we matter and belong, we want to cooperate. And this is the whole model that we're actually using with social and emotional intelligence in the schools with positive discipline, helping kids realize they matter and they belong, then they want to do well. And our organizations can re-traumatize us, right? So we have an experience. What's the system response to the experience? Because the system response can come in and help heal, or the system response can re-traumatize. So there is a handout right here about trauma and what it is and what organizations can do by creating a trauma-informed perspective in your practices and policies. So we have people that are dealing with insurance. I'm going to tell you, my insurance agent was a healing agent. I could not believe it. I was still out evacuated, and my insurance company called me. No questions asked. Don't worry, we don't need receipts. I had money in the bank in the morning, and our conversation happened at 9 at night, and I woke up to money in the bank. It was incredible. And I actually had a client who told me about the angel insurance agent, and I said, what was that person's name? And it was the same person. The system response from me in that way was, I felt so supported. There are people out there that are not only not being supported, but they are being put through so much. It is re-traumatizing them. So what is the experience that we're giving to people? This is really something that we can think about and we can actually impact, right? So there's work being done here in city planning, possibly, to help us create our street teams. So a client came in and he said, what is going on? Why are we having to go over and over again? New information every time. It's not clear, it's not consistent. We need to have people come to us. We want to sit on our burnt property and heal. We want people to come to us, right? So there's so much potential in terms of our systems and our organizations. And this is positive organizational leadership. So positive organizational deviance. Kim Cameron from the University of Michigan, they are studying organizations and looking at negative deviance, neutral, and positive. So for we as individuals, illness, it would be the negative deviance, health would be neutral, vitality and flow would be positive deviance. For organizations, effectiveness, you can be ineffective. You can be effective, that's fine, but you can also be excellent, right? You can be not only efficient, but extraordinary. Not only ethical, but benevolent. Not only helpful, but honoring. So there is research done in this. B Corps, there are certified B Corps that measure their social and environmental impact and are creating organizations that create positive impact overall for all stakeholders. So it's a fantastic resource to look at if you have an organization. So what does healing look like? Care. Care for ourselves, care for others. Courage to be present to ourselves. And courage to be present to others. Courage to heal. Courage to go back and heal things that haven't been healed and integrate that. We don't have to, but then when we experience adversity, it all may come forth for healing anyway. Growth mindset. We can always learn, we can develop new neural pathways, we can be in a fixed mindset or we can be in a growth mindset. What does it look like to do something different? Art. We have a lot of expressing to do, we have a lot to get out. Process art is a therapeutic form of doing art where it's not about what you create, it's about the process. And this is a fantastic therapeutic thing to do. And if you do it, use your non-dominant hand. Let your body guide you. If you're dominant hand, there are so many sensors in the brain there. Get some art materials, as many as you can. Grab whatever you want and go. Non-dominant hand art. It's fantastic. Sing, dance, right? This is another thing we can do in our community. How can we create more art to express and heal? What kind of community do we want to create? How do we make people feel like they matter and belong? And how do we support ourselves? Knowing that we are in this neutral zone and that this is actually the place where we get to heal and grow, and not try to force other people into any sort of new beginning. So how can we actually be present together during this time that's maybe chaotic, it's unknown? If we can be present, we can actually possibly create new policies, right? We can prepare for whatever's coming next. And we can do that from a place of compassion, of love, of connection. And I'm going to end with this quote about healing, right? Best time to heal, of course, is right after an injury. But if we didn't, the next best time is now. So thank you for your time and the opportunity to share with you.